Fine Girl Dime, and welcome back, Fine Girls. Today I'm going to introduce y'all to a new character that was in my life. His name is going to be Cashew because he looked like this character from the Proud Family, and he had that same cashew shaped head. He was the same color in the summertime, and I just feel like y'all should know him because he was a very entertaining part of my life at one point. And you know, we were friends. I met him through a mutual friend. I'm gonna tell y'all more about that. Y'all know what did I name her? Y'all know Giiiiiirls. So I met him through Giiiiiirls, and it was crazy because he was so normal, but then the more time I spent with him, the more I realized that he had narcissistic tendencies, and he would just try to like play people as pawns, and he would really just try to use people for his entertainment. And he tried to plan an orgy, like a surprise orgy on me, not tell me about it, but he got my friend involved in it. It was so strange. Like, I have to tell y'all that. And I just want to walk y'all on that journey with that person that I had as a mutual friend, because it was just so weird. Okay, and I want to know, like, at what point the red flags would have went up for y'all. Like, I just have to know, because he seemed normal at first to me. Okay, so I had known him for like 8 or 9 years, but in the beginning he seemed so normal. Like, he was only like a little weird, but it wasn't an issue to me because everybody has like a little weirdness or like quirkiness with them, and I just thought that was the case for him. But y'all will find out more about it. Okay, y'all will find out more about it. So let me tell you how I met Cashew. One day, me and Giiiiiirls, we were having lunch one day, which we normally did, right? And this day she was telling me about how she met this guy that she likes and how he is just like so nice, so cool and all that. And she had been talking to him for about 2 weeks, and how she really liked talking to him. Now, so my response to this was like, ooh, you really like him, huh? With like googly eyes and stuff. And she was like, no, I don't like him. And she was like, she said she only liked him as a friend, but I didn't think this was the case by the way she was describing him to me. Because she was describing it as if she liked someone, not as if it was like, you know, a friend. And like her liking him as a friend and him being a guy, like it wasn't a weird situation because our friend group at the time, it was like full of guys, full of ladies. So it wasn't weird. The only thing weird was the fact that she was googly eyes over him and he was just a friend and all that, right? So like her words were saying that she didn't like him, but her body language was saying something completely different. But yeah, she was basically, it was definitely giving I might like this guy, but I'm not sure just yet. Like whenever we had a new mutual friend to add to the group, we would just invite the friend to like one of our friend events, and we would introduce that friend to like our friend group. It wasn't like this introduction like, oh, you know, I might you know, this guy I'm talking to for about 2 weeks. Very different. Okay, now and we have like debriefs about them before we came. We wouldn't have debriefs about someone before we introduced them to the group. So it was definitely given I like him. All right, so I like him. I like him. Now Giiiiiirls, she had a boyfriend, and her boyfriend was so negative and like bah humbug, so we're gonna call him Scrooge in lieu of the holidays. Now, if you watch Paying for P story time, or He Paid for P story time, like you already have an idea of who Scrooge is already. But if you haven't seen Paying for P, make sure you watch that. But I'm gonna tell you a little about him right here, okay? Scrooge, he was a basura boyfriend, a waste man completely, okay? And he would nag my friend. He had a baby on her, and he played mind games. And I will say, like, Giiiiiirls, she wasn't completely innocent either. She was completely faithful for like maybe 2 years, but after that 3rd year, I think she had had enough. So she was just like, you know what, I'm gonna cheat on him too. So, and it would just be like, you know, occasional cheating that I knew of anyway. So I remember like when she first met Scrooge, it was like summer after high school, right? It was a fresh relationship. She met him at like the Walgreens or the CVS. He was checking her out in the register. But you know, they started dating. She was 17, about to turn 18 at that time, and he was like maybe, I think 8 years older than us. I asked her what her mom thought about this because of the gap and if she had like any issue with it. But that's when she shared that her mom and her dad had like, I think maybe 10 or 12 years age gap. So it wasn't a big deal to her mom. And I was like, My parents would have said the same thing, especially at 17, 18. They couldn't really say too much about it, but 17, they definitely would have said something about it. Also, Janae's mom wasn't strict. She gave Janae like a lot of freedom. So let's fast forward to like college time. College, Janae, she would ask for my advice on Scrooge, and I gave her my advice and she took it in, but she wouldn't follow the advice. Her mom would give her advice too. She wouldn't follow that advice either. But despite her not following my advice, like I would still support her and be a good friend and be there for her. So finally the breakup happened, and then Janae shared that Scrooge broke up with her because he felt like she was too good for him. And for once, me and Scrooge were on the same page, and I was like, yeah, I agree with him. And she was just like, you know, she was sad about it, but I told her, you know, I agreed with Scrooge, but I also told her like great things about herself afterwards. I'm like, cause you this, you this, you that, you that, you that, or whatever. You know how a good friend would be. Like, that's what I was. Yeah, I just reminded her of all her great qualities. Me and her, I let her stay over my dorm. We had like a girls' night in, and then the next day we went to like one of our friend Alex's kicks. Ooh, that's a tongue twister. One of our friend Alex's kickbacks, and we had fun, right? It was a great time. Then a couple of weeks later, Janae and Scrooge are back in a relationship again, but this time she shared that her mama was not feeling it. Her mama was, I don't think her mama ever really liked Scrooge. I think she was just like letting her daughter do her thing. Like an adult looking back on it, I think she was just letting her child do what she wanted to do at that time, because you know sometimes people don't really listen to their parents when they're in situations like that. And yeah, but this time, I was about to say her name, this time Janae's mom, she was not feeling it. She didn't like that they were back together again. And she also said that her mom gave her some advice, but I think at this point Janae had turned 18, so there really wasn't anything that she could do about it now. So Janae, she asked me for advice and like how her mom doesn't want her to be with him. Should she still be with him? And I think I was just like, well, I think you should listen to your mom. Your mom has like your best interest at heart. And then Janae was like, I just gotta learn things the hard way. And then when she said that, I was like, I am never giving her advice ever again. Like, even if she asked me for it, which was most of the situations, I am not giving her any advice, because girl, you said you wanted to learn the hard way. From here, consider it the hard way, because I'm not wasting my breath giving you advice ever again. And it was like at that moment, that's when I realized that my friend was stigmatized. So I asked her, like, why do you want to learn things the hard way? Like, why not learn from like other people's mistakes as opposed to like making the mistake yourself? And she was like, I just gotta learn things the hard way. So that just like, that made it settle in right there. And honestly, that's the reason why I tell some of these story times. So the viewers who are young, of course for entertainment, but for the people who are younger, like my little cousin's age, like I want to tell y'all these stories so y'all can learn from the mistakes that I made, or the mistakes from people who was in my life at that time. And when y'all face that situation, you know how to navigate certain situations like that so you don't make those same mistakes. My friend, she said she wanted to learn things the hard way. So yeah, I said, okay, in my head, I'm like, okay, never giving you advice again. So whenever she would ask me for advice, I would just give her this blanket statement saying like, you know the situation best, you know what would be the best thing to do in the situation. I would just always give her blanket answers like that, because it would have been a waste of my breath to do anything else. And it would have been shady for me to say anything else. So I was just like, you know what to do. Basically, I'm gonna have to tell this story really fast, but I'm still trying to give y'all, you know, the details that y'all need to see, you know, how things were initially with Cashew, okay? So Janae, she's telling me about this guy, Cashew, for lunch. And at this point, we are 21 now. She showed me a picture of him. She's like, yeah, he's cute. He has a house. He's nice. She said what he did for work. I didn't remember at that time when she was telling me. She showed me a picture, and that's when I saw that cashew shaped head, and I was like, girl, he is perfect for you. He was about in his 30s, mid 30s, okay? Just in case I didn't want her trying to hook me up with him, okay? He was skinny, kind of like that cashew, skinny, big old head. I remember one time he showed us these Facebook pictures, and he had the nerve to have some neck braids. Granted, it was basically 2000, so it was in at that time. He had a baggy tee and some baggy jeans, and I was just like, Oh my gosh, like he was too skinny to be wearing those baggy whatevers. Like, oh my goodness. And then it also would have been weird for her to try and hook me up with someone that she likes. So that was another reason why I was like, he's perfect for you. So I'm just listening to her go on and on and on about Cashew. She said that Scrooge doesn't like Cashew and the fact that she's talking to Cashew. And then I was like, oh, well, like, what's your thoughts on it? What are you gonna do? And then she was like, well, I plan on having a dinner with Cashew and Scrooge. And I was like, in my head, I'm laughing. And I was like, why you wanna do that? Because it's clear she likes Cashew. Or it's clear to me anyway that she likes Cashew. And she was just like, I think they should just meet each other first. And then maybe Scrooge won't feel the way that he feels about Cashew. So once again, I was like, well, you know Cashew better than me, and you know your boyfriend better than me, so you know what would work for this situation more than I would. So I think you should do what's best for you in this situation. And I was like, but tell me how it goes though. And then she was like, I'll do better than that. You come to it. You can come to the dinner too. I was like, I was just like, oh my goodness. So I get to see this in real time. Okay. But I also wanted her to make sure, like, don't do any matchmaking or anything like that. Don't do that, because I got a crazy boyfriend, okay? To me, I felt like Cashew was just waiting for Janae and Scrooge to break up so he could come in and become her boyfriend potentially. I don't know. I hadn't met Cashew at this point, but it just seemed like from what Janae was telling me that they like each other. I just kept my commentary to myself. I did not share that thought with Janae because sometimes people, they just want to vent. They just want you to listen as support as opposed to, you know, sharing your opinion and all that. And at this point, I was learning that as a friend. So when she asked me to come, I was like, why do you want me to be a part of this? And she said she wanted me to come too because Cashew is a friend and I'm a friend, so it makes sense that a bunch of her friends are like, or not a bunch, but her friends are there to support her. And I was just like, okay. And she promised that it wasn't gonna be like a double date kind of thing. So I was wondering why I was being so formal, like, oh, a dinner to introduce these people. It was so strange for like our friend dynamic. Cause it had never been like this to meet a friend. Out of our 15 years of friendship, we have never done that to introduce people. Like, not as formally as this was. Like, we might have a dinner and we'll be like, oh, this person's gonna be here, but it had never been like this, like, formal. I was like, okay, maybe her and Scrooge are trying to try something out new for the first time to see how things are gonna be going forward. Y'all know I'm nosy, so I went. Scrooge and Janae, they picked out the restaurant. They picked out the time. They said it was gonna be like Saturday at like 5 o'clock. The restaurant was probably like 4 or 5 miles from their house. It was 10 miles from campus. The restaurant was like 70 or 80 miles from Cashew. So Cashew was definitely taking some time out of his day. He lived in like the next major city. Janae, she's always late, so I plan to come later than 5 p.m. because she's always late. So once I show up, surprise, surprise, they are actually there before me. And because I wasn't that much late. I was just like maybe 5-10 minutes late. But they were there before me. And then I see Cashew for the first time. So I saw Janae when I got there. When I saw her, I came in to hug her. Scrooge, he was looking weird at me. I didn't know what that look meant, but I just ignored it because I knew he didn't like me anyway. And the reason I felt like he didn't like me is because I knew so many of like Janae's secrets at the time and I wasn't gonna expose her to him. I was like one part of Janae's support system because he was just, ugh. I waved at Scrooge and then I said hey to Cashew. I'm like, hey Cashew, and I'm a hugger, so I hugged him and then he came in for a hug. And then I was like, hey, it's nice to meet you. Like, I heard so many good things about you. So I sat next to him, next to the empty seat, and we're just all talking. Like, we're having a good time. Like, it's no weird stuff going on. I do see Cashew looking at my friend Janae. I see Janae looking at him with smiles in her eyes. And I'm just like, I wonder, do Scrooge see this? But I'm having a good time. He did have like a little weirdness to him, but I figured it just went along with him being like a techie guy because like I went to a high school full of nerds. Everybody there was a nerd, including myself. So him having like that little quirk to him wasn't like weird or anything. It was just like regular. Scrooge, he mentioned something good about Cashew and then he was like, oh, you would like that, huh, Dime? And then I was just like, Are you effing serious, Ninja? Like, I am not here for cashew, okay? Janae knows that I am not here for cashew. So I looked over there at Janae like, what's going on? I'm thinking, one, I just met this person and you're trying to pair me with him and I don't like him. Two, this is what I said out loud, I have a boyfriend. Scrooge, he did not like my boyfriend. And the reason he didn't like my boyfriend, because we got a flashback again. So, flashback 3 years ago, around the time that Scrooge and Janae had just gotten together. Yeah, I'm gonna give you the dynamic between Detroit, my boyfriend from this story time, and Scrooge. My college, it had these strip of clubs, right? And we went to that strip of clubs because Waka Flocka was gonna be there. My boyfriend, Detroit, he got me, Janae, tickets to go there. Well, it's not really tickets, but basically he was able to get us in there for free. Because he had a game that day and he was supposed to go to Detroit for a quick trip and then come back. Scrooge was supposed to take me and Janae there and drop us off, but he decided to tag along. He was able to get in free too because of Detroit. It was just like, it was supposed to be a girls thing. Like, why are you here? But it was fine because we didn't drive and, you know, it was a free ride, I guess. So we're just like, I figured, I was like, okay, but it wasn't gonna be like it was a third wheel because I will talk to other people and stuff like that. So I wasn't gonna feel like a third wheel. And I'm sure somebody else from my school, I promise you, plenty of people from my school was gonna be there that, like my college, that I did know. So it wasn't gonna be like a third wheel situation. And that's not what it felt like, because apparently Scrooge doesn't like to dance. So he was on the wall, he was drinking some stuff, and then me and Janae, we were just like dancing, enjoying our time. Then Walker came out, round of applause. Baby, make that clap. Drop it to the floor, make that clap. Let me see you bust it. Busted. So we're having a good time busting it and stuff. While me and Janae were dancing, I saw how much Scrooge was drinking, and I don't know him that well to be driving with him, and he had however many drinks. And mind you, when we were in the car with him, he drove stick shift. When he was driving, he basically was driving like a madman. Like, first of all, he didn't know how to drive stick with ease, okay? Secondly, he just was a crazy driver, going on fast and instantly stopping for no reason. No, I'm not effing with it, especially when you have been drinking. So I had texted my boyfriend at the time, Detroit, and I was just like letting him know what was going on, right? So fast forward, walk over, we want to go home and all that. I text Detroit, I let him know how much that Scrooge is drinking, and I was just like, I might need him or like one of his team members to like pick me, Janae up, and like take us home. Mind you, like I said before, me and Janae, we couldn't drive. Neither one of us had cars at this time, and there was no Uber or Lyft at this point in this city. So we would have been stuck. School had buses, right? And they had a bus come out to like the club area, so basically people didn't have to, you know, drink and drive. You can just get on this bus and go home. But like I said, the clubs weren't closed yet, so the bus wasn't going to be available just yet. So girl, I told Scrooge like, hey, don't worry about me, I'm just gonna stay here and I'm gonna wait for the bus to come. He's like, no, don't wait for the bus to come. I called Detroit to see like, hey, like, what's the move? Like, can someone get me or what? I kept him on the phone though. I didn't hang up with him. I kept him on because I didn't like how Scrooge was responding to me, because he was getting a little too aggressive for my liking, all right? I didn't like how I was just like, go, y'all can go without me. You don't have to wait on me. It is okay. Janae, do you want to get with, you want to, you know, get with me? She didn't really answer me. We'll talk about that later. But yeah, they're just trying to convince me to get in the car with the both of them. And I'm just like, no, I don't want to get in the car with y'all. So that's like back and forth for a while now. And Detroit is hearing this on the phone. So like I said, it's back and forth. He's like, come on, let's go, get in the car. I'm like, no, I don't know how, you had too much to drink. And then he was like, no, I haven't. I only had 2 drinks. That's a lie. Y'all know those people who have DWI? They always tell the cops they only had 2 drinks. That's what they always say. I only had 2 drinks. No, you didn't. You had more than 2 drinks. Stop playing with me. Just because I'm bouncing that don't mean that I did not see you. And I didn't even drink at this time. Like at this time, I did not drink. So it wasn't even like, y'all know that other story I told y'all? I was like, yeah, I was drinking, so I wasn't paying attention. I was paying attention because I was sober and I was having a great time. So I explained the bus situation because I was like, maybe Scrooge doesn't go to our school, so he doesn't know this. So I was like, okay, I explained the bus situation and how the bus can take me where I need to go whenever these clubs close. And he was like, no, just come in the car with us. Just come in the car with us. While he was doing all that, he stumbled over absolutely nothing. And then I was like, Janae, do you see this? Do you see this? You're getting in the car with him? Not Janae, Detroit, he is still on the phone. He's hearing everything. He talking, but I'm ignoring him. So yeah, I like start paying attention to what Detroit's saying. He was able to use his teammate Big Joe's van to come and get me. Detroit, he was like, yeah, I'm around the corner. So he was gonna come and scoop us. So Detroit was absolutely pissed at everything that he heard. But basically he just started cursing out Scrooge for being absolutely drunk. But you know, you can get drunk, so that really wasn't the big deal for him. It was more so he was trying to like, it was more so Detroit was upset because Scrooge was trying to force me to get in the car knowing that he was drunk. So that's the part that he was like upset about. I get in the van. I asked Janae while I'm getting in the van, hey, are you coming in? She was like, no, I'm gonna ride with Scrooge. I'm just gonna ride with Scrooge. And I was like, okay, I hope my friend make it back home safe, I guess. Or I should have known that Janae would put her guy's wants above friendship because she was able to put her love for him above her own life. And that is just absolutely, like, it's not surprising because it happens, and I'm sure everyone has instances when they do stuff like this, when they're growing up and they're like trying to learn and discover what love is and everything. Like when I was at that point in my life, I was so surprised, and I was just like, wow, like she would risk her life to support Scrooge. And I also should have known that I should not have had her, like she should not have been my best friend at that point, because she couldn't even be a best friend to herself. She couldn't even be a good friend to herself and protect her life. I should have made her an associate from that point out, but we had been friends for 8 years at that point, and I just looked past it because I thought, you know, like a person doing something like this on one situation doesn't mean that that's how it's gonna be going forward, but that was not the truth. So fast forward, but the situation did. So fast forward to where we are now at this dinner table. I'm telling them, oh, I got a boyfriend, and you know what? I'm actually doing something with him later. Cashew was like, oh, well, I'll get the check. So he gets the check. I'm like, oh my goodness, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. So I leave, I go hang out with Detroit. Now, with that being said, let me tell you, Cashew, Janae, and Scrooge, they all went back to Scrooge's house to do what? I didn't know at that point, but later you're gonna find out what happened.